Educating to lead. For generations, the men and women of our armed services have risen to every occasion called upon. And generation after generation, they continue to educate to lead in our military across this country. And often this takes place in elite schools, from military academies to military colleges, including right here in Pennsylvania at the Valley Forge Military Academy and College. What is that education like? What are the ins and outs of a military education, and how are we preparing our next generation of leaders? Colonel Stuart Helgeson, the president of Valley Forge Military Academy and College, joins us to break down those questions and more. That's all coming up right here, right now. I'm Sam Chen, and this is Face the Issues. Good evening and welcome to Face the Issues. I'm your host, Sam Chen. Generation after generation in our country, the men and women of the United States Armed Services have risen to every occasion called upon. And today, young men and women are enrolling and enlisting in military colleges and in our armed services all over the country every single day. But what does it look like to educate the future leaders of this country, the leaders of our military? It takes place in a variety of ways across the country, including here in our home state of Pennsylvania at the Valley Forge Military Academy and College. And joining us today is the president of the Academy and College, Colonel Stuart Helgeson. Colonel, welcome to Face the Issues, and thank you for being with us.
Well, thank you, Sam, and thank you for having me on to talk about this important topic.
It's our pleasure to have you. And before we start, thank you for your service to the country, both at home and abroad, and your continued service in leading and shaping the next generation of our leaders. We certainly are very, very appreciative and grateful for all the work that you do. Colonel, I want to begin very generally with the 30,000 foot level. Military education, everyone in America knows about it, knows it happens. We all watch the Army-Navy game every year, and we're aware of the academies, we're aware of ROTC programs, but most of us never experience it. Most of us, myself included, have never been through military education. I certainly have had friends who have, but we've never experienced it firsthand. What does military education entail, and what sets it apart from what we might see traditionally at a state school or a non-military school?
That's a great question, Sam. Military schools, and here at Valley Forge Military Academy and College, we use what we call the military model. And the military model is derived right from our own U.S. military. It takes everything from the structure, the discipline, the rank structure, teaching all the ins and outs of being part of a military unit, but it is even more than that. So like the U.S. military, which has done an outstanding job of transcending all classes, races, social economic status, and bringing people together from all across America, we do the same here at Valley Forge Military Academy and College. What I mean by that is every new student coming in goes through a plebe system. Think of it as a boot camp that anyone who is listening tonight and has been in the military surely remembers their first day of arriving at boot camp and training. We do this in order to take the cadet, the soon-to-be cadet, and put them into a model that shows them that they are now going to be part of something bigger than themselves. And we take away some of their personal liberties. We do give them a haircut. We do put them in a uniform and take their civilian clothes. We teach them how to march. We teach them how to form up. We teach them how to be accountable. Now, for many young men and women, this is foreign. I'd say for most. Mm-hmm. But they learn real quickly that in order to lead, Sam, you first have to learn how to follow. Mm-hmm. And again, that comes from our own learnings in our own military. So that military structure that they get, they go through a system where they are going to earn the title of cadet, just like anyone who joined one of our armed services. I'm a Marine, my goal was to become a Marine, or soldiers, airmen, sailors. They all earn that title after they go through a process. The process we use here is tight structure. It's accountability. It's responsibility. It takes some resilience, and it grounds these young men and women into really being resilient and being able to be self-reliant, and to see the transformation of these plebes to become cadets. It really is amazing, and something that makes me very proud.
Sure. And I know so many of my colleagues who have gone through military school, whether at somewhere like Valley Forge or at the Academy or RTC program, have emphasized exactly what you said, Colonel, that it's not simply an education of the mind, but it's an education, it's a holistic education and the training, and they come out as different people than they came in, as they were when they came in. Colonel, let me ask you this. If you're sitting down with a high school student who's considering military education for college, or in the situation with Valley Forge, perhaps you're sitting down with somebody who's looking at attending the academy, what do you tell them about whether they should pursue a military education?
Well, first, I ask them, are they committed to it, right? Are they ready to do it? It's not easy. As I said, everything from the military aspect and what our cadets do in a day, it's everything from waking up and going to physical training in the morning, followed by cleaning of their barracks and their rooms, getting a uniform ready, getting themselves ready. And then once they get in a leadership position, it's not only taking care of yourself, but it's getting your team ready. And it is something that all while studying for a calculus test or taking a college physics class or getting ready for a business class, whatever they have to do academically, these are some of the things on the outside, in the periphery. What do I say to a young man or woman looking at a military education? It will make you better. It will make you better if you believe in the process, and if you trust the process and you work through it. You will learn more about yourself. You will be challenged, but at the end, you will come out more self-confident. You will believe in the mission. You will learn how to get things done. And I try to emphasize there's something I tell many of the cadets or young men and women before they come. The first thing you have to be able to do is to count for yourself. And if you can show up on time, in the right uniform, ready to complete the task at hand, whatever that task is, you are already on the way to success. And I say that because, as you know, Sam, we all know, to do that consistently is something that can't always be done. I have a lot of adults who can't do those three things consistently. So to have that self-discipline and learn how to manage yourself and the time management aspect that we throw a lot at these young men and women, and they have to learn how to prioritize at an early age.
Along those lines, Colonel, we hear a lot about careers in the military. As yourself, you've served for quite some time, and then there are those who say, well, I'm not sure I want to spend my entire life in the military. How does an education such as the one that you provide at Valley Forge prepare a young man or woman, not just for military service, but also in their civilian life?
That's a great question, Sam, and you're absolutely right. Whether you go in, so we have two schools here, and I want to make that clear. We have a military academy, which is a college preparatory school with from grade 7 to grade 12, and we have a military junior college. We're one of only 4 military junior colleges in the nation that offers an early commissioning program, which I'll talk about later. The people in the academy have the ability to learn this discipline, this structured lifestyle, learning how to be accountable, learning how to lead their peers. And for 97% of our academy graduates, they go off to college. Some go to West Point or United States Naval Academy. A small percentage go to one of our service academies. But 97% of them go off to civilian colleges. And we found that they are so ready as young freshmen at whatever campus they're on to account for themselves. They have the self-discipline. They understand mission and task. They understand what they're there for. And that structure carries them on. It gives them that foundation. In our college, we have an early commissioning program, which is very unique. We're able to commission officers in the United States Army Reserve and National Guard after only 2 years. Wow. And this is a very selective program. It is run by the United States Army and selected through the Army. It is the Army pays the tuition for these cadets. They go through Army basic training prior to arriving here on their freshman year. They go through a 30-day advanced or basic camp. They come here, they complete Army ROTC, which we have a full staff of active duty Army officer and his cadre that teaches the military science aspect of it. And then between their freshman and sophomore year, they go out to Fort Knox and go through advanced camp. If they make all the wickets and hit all the standards, they are commissioned after they receive their associate's degree. They then have an opportunity to go to any college in the United States that they're accepted to that is affiliated with an ROTC program, and they must finish their bachelor's degree, again, which the Army is paying for. They then have a service commitment.
I appreciate that insight. Again, I think so many of us civilians just we're not familiar. We know about the military. We're not familiar with this aspect of military education, not just training future soldiers, but training future leaders in all aspects of life. Colonel, thank you for that insight. When we come back, I want to talk a little bit more about what you do at Valley Forge and some of the specific programs that your academy and college have to offer. And so don't go away. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Face the Issues. And Colonel Helgeson, thank you again for being with us. I want to continue right where we left off, talking about Valley Forge Military Academy and College. And now your mission statement is to educate students within an academic and military environment to transfer academically competitive four-year colleges, universities, or service academies. The college builds leaders of character for the future, for the community, for the country, for the world. In that mission statement, you talk about fostering both an academic and a military environment that is rigorous on both ends of that. How do you do that at Valley Forge? What does that look like for your cadets and your students?
Well, first you have to have a good team, Sam, and which we do here, both in the college and with our commandant's department and our ROTC department. So those three departments, led by great leaders, take care of the academics, the cadet life as far as the commandant goes, and then the ROTC and the specific Army training is the senior military instructor. So they work together. How it's different is these, I guess the best would give you a typical day for our ROTC cadets. They wake up at about 5. They're out PT and physical training at 5:30. They'll get back, they'll eat, they'll clean up their space, and then they'll start college classes at 8 o'clock. From 8 to 4, they're a college student. They're going to classes. The difference is they're in uniforms. They're in uniforms, and they have to make sure that they're squared away. They've got to make sure that everything is to regulations. They then have activities in the afternoon. Thursday mornings are military labs, and Tuesday mornings are military labs where the ROTC department does some specific military training with them. As a matter of fact, today the ROTC cadets are out doing land navigation and then doing a leadership reaction course out at Fort Indiantown Gap. So that was part of their military training for this week.
Colonel, there are obviously a lot of different avenues to join the military. Recruiters are always looking to enlist young men and women out of school. We have the service academies, the ROTC programs. There are non-service academy military colleges such as VMI, the Citadel, and so forth. Valley Forge is one of only 4 two-year military colleges in the country. It's a very, very unique distinction. You're one of only 3 that has the academy to go with the college. What does that uniqueness mean for the college and for your cadets? And what sets you apart from other avenues? What makes it different and so special to be at Valley Forge?
Well, one, you're absolutely right, Sam. We're one of 4 military junior colleges that have this early commissioning program. And I think I can't emphasize it enough that, to be commissioned a second lieutenant in 2 years, vice the standard 4, if you went through a service academy, one of the federal service academy, West Point, Naval Academy, or Coast Guard or Air Force, or went through a 4-year ROTC program, we have the ability to build officers in 2 years. Now that's tough. That's why it's got to be a military type school. That's why they have a lab every week where they're doing military type training, and they have 2 summer commitments prior to their freshman and after their freshman year. This is what makes us different. We have the ability to go out and recruit through the Army students nationwide. I think our location here in Wayne, Pennsylvania, we're about 5 miles from actual Valley Forge, and being located in a suburban area where there is things to do has helped us also.
And Colonel, where do your students, upon graduating, where do they go from Valley Forge? You mentioned earlier, some of them go to some of the service academies, others go on to 4-year schools with ROTC programs. Where do cadets go, or your students in the academy, where do they go after their time at Valley Forge?
It's a great question, Sam. So if I start with the college, which we were just talking about, the students, when they graduate with their associate's degree, if they're in that early commissioning program, they have to go and complete their bachelor's degree within 3 years. So they all go off to another 4-year school. It can be another military academy if they choose. It could be Penn State. It could be Syracuse. We've naming schools that last year's class have gone off to. We had one cadet go to Brown. It all depends on where they get accepted and what course of study they want to do. They are commissioned in a branch in the Army, and they will be drilling reservists or guardsmen during their time in school. So if they're a combat engineer or an aviation or infantry, whatever their branch is that they're going to be, they affiliate with a guard or reserve unit and do that through college. So that is different. But while they're doing that, they're gaining experience and they're also getting paid.
And when they leave, are they always going to the Army, or are there other branches that they can choose from?
No, the Army early commissioning program is strictly Army officers. Now we have a service academy prep program where we have junior college students who show up and want to experience a military education, or they're trying to enhance their application, another year of studies and showing that they're here at Valley Forge to reapply to one of the service academies like West Point or the Naval Academy. And we have students who come here again to see if a military school is right for them. And after they earn their associate's degree, they go on. We had 2 last year go on to the Citadel, 1 go on to Virginia Military Institute. And they can go into other services besides the Army when they go through those programs.
Understood. Colonel, obviously this is a difficult year. 2020 in general has been a chaotic year, to say the least, for colleges across the country, for high schools across the country. A lot of conversations about how to deal with the COVID-19 pandemic. Obviously, a little bit different for military schools. For drill purposes and so forth, you need your cadets on campus. My understanding is that all of your cadets are there on campus, and yet you have not had a single COVID-19 case. Talk us through what you're doing at Valley Forge. What kind of example do you hope this school can set for other schools, military or not, as far as how to approach this?
Well, Sam, first, thank you for recognizing that, but I'm knocking wood right now when you just said that last line. We've been fortunate so far. And we were fortunate because, like everyone, last March was a lot of uncertainty. We had to send all our cadets home in March when schools were told to close. However, we couldn't send all our students home. We had about 25 academy cadets that were international, and there was nowhere to send them because there were no flights. So we learned a lot while caring and educating them during that time frame. We weren't able to get them out until the last ones in May. We also had to, like everyone else, pivot, and I'm very proud of our team, to online instruction, both in the academy and the college. They were able to do it within a week after we sent the cadets home, and we ended up continuing the school year of 2020 with online virtual graduations for both the academy and the college, and a virtual commissioning ceremony. As wonderful it was that we were able to do something, it wasn't, it wasn't what we needed. So the decision was made in June that we were going to open up in August and bring our students back. But in order to do that, there was a lot that had to be planned and worked through and built. So we're a boarding school. So obviously for the academy, it's a boarding school. And for the college, obviously, the students board here. So we had that going for us. What we did have to cancel was, we used to have a day student program for the academy and some commuter students in the college. We canceled all that. I looked at what the NBA did and the NHL and doing the bubble. And I guess, for lack of a better term, Sam, we built the bubble here. And communicated with all the parents and the cadets and the students that they were going to be coming back, and that there was going to come back in pods. We did a very deliberate return to campus. We isolated each group when they came in. We had the facilities to do that. I have a wonderful on-campus health center led by a super head nurse, director of nursing, and we put together a 46-page return to campus COVID plan that we shared with the Department of Education and with our accrediting body, Middle States, who has thus shared it with other schools. So I'm very proud of what the team was able to put together. One of the reasons I think we're also able to do it is the discipline of the cadets, and I'm so proud of them. They knew what they were getting into. They have not been home. In a typical year, they could get weekend leave or they could go places, but they knew they were coming back, and they were not going to be leaving campus to go home or anywhere until Thanksgiving and our winter break. So that's a couple weeks away. We're all, the cadets are very anxious. We're very anxious, but I've got to once again commend the dean of the college, Dr. Bob Smith, Dr. Paul Lee, our head of the academy, our commandant, Colonel Rivera, Deb Hammer, all these people, head of our health center, that came together and put this plan together, and were able to execute it.
As you said, Colonel, it's education like this teaches leadership, teaches discipline, teaches teamwork, and I think this is an example of all of that coming together. Not just your college is really practicing what you preach. And so, Colonel, thank you for your time. Don't go away. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Face the Issues. Colonel, thank you again for your time and for your leadership. And of course, as this is airing, it is Veterans Day this week. And Colonel, first, thank you for your service. But I also want to ask you, as someone who has committed your life to serving our armed services and this nation, what does Veterans Day mean to you?
Wow. Well, thank you, Sam. Well, Veterans Day to me is an opportunity to honor those who have served our country. And, the history of it started off as Armistice Day, signify the ending of World War I on the 11th hour, the 11th day of the 11th month of 1918. And it was that all the way up to 1954 when President Eisenhower enacted Veterans Day to honor all those who had served. Since then, there had obviously been World War II, the Korean War, and other conflicts in between. So what I do want to say is it makes me proud. I remember as a young kid going to our town's Veterans Day parade and seeing the bands and the units and the veterans marching, and it gave me a sense of pride. And I think we've got to look at, for a country that has had an all-volunteer service since 1993, to look at all the people who have joined the military selflessly to serve their country. I think they should be thanked. So that's why I'm such a fan of Veterans Day.
Well, Colonel, thank you again for your time today, for your leadership at the college, and also for your service and for continuing to set the example for so many young people all over the country. We really appreciate it and look forward to having you back for a later episode.
Thank you, Sam. It's been an honor.
Honor is all ours. And again, we want to thank Colonel Huglison for his leadership at Valley Forge and for joining us. Now, this is all the time that we have tonight. My name is Sam Chen. On behalf of all of us here at Face the Issues, happy Veterans Day and good night.